A 16-year-old girl becomes intrigued by a mysterious murder case. 5 years earlier, she had met Andy, the beautiful victim of that very case. Back then, she had unknowingly helped Andy's boyfriend find her just by giving directions. Have you seen Andy? She went that way. But that very night, the beautiful Andy vanished. Stranger still, 5 days later, her boyfriend's body was found in the woods. Rumor had it he confessed to killing Andy and then took his own life out of guilt. So Pippa secretly decided to make this murder case the subject of her summer research project, but her classmate Kara reminded her that the case was already closed. Everyone believed Andy's boyfriend was the killer, but he was never tried. Even now, Andy's body has never been found. Pippa believed Sal, Andy's boyfriend, was a good person, kind, moral, and academically gifted. He had always treated her well, and she couldn't imagine someone like him being a killer. If Sal didn't do it, then who did? I don't know, but anyone here could be the killer. Back home, Pippa built a wall covered in clues to start her investigation. Her first goal: uncover the real reason behind Andy's disappearance. According to records, Andy left home at 10:30 that night. Security footage showed her driving past a small square at 10:38 p.m. Yet by 12:45 a.m., when she was supposed to be home, Andy's parents realized she hadn't returned for the family dinner. 5 days later, a blue van was found abandoned on the roadside. Inside was Sal's body. Before his death, he had confessed to killing his girlfriend. The last person to see him alive was his younger brother, Ravi. Andy's parents couldn't even hold a funeral, as her body had never been found. These unanswered details only fueled Pippa's fascination with the case. The next day, she started her investigation. At a bus stop, after waiting for what felt like forever, she finally spotted Ravi, Sal's younger brother. She quietly followed him but was quickly caught. Still, who could resist chatting with such an adorable girl like Pippa? They began to talk casually. Thoughtful as ever, Pippa offered him some homemade blueberry cake. When Ravi tried it, she shyly explained her reason for coming: to ask a few questions about Andy and Sal for her university expansion project. But as soon as he heard that, Ravi grew angry and handed the cake back. "My brother is gone," he said coldly. Clearly, he didn't want to reopen old wounds. Pippa hit a major roadblock right at the start, but she refused to give up. She decided to visit the crime scene in search of new clues. In the forest, she noticed black ribbons tied densely around the trees. The deeper she went, the more there were, until she stumbled upon a small wooden cabin. Inside, the bedding was filthy beyond use. On the wall, she discovered names carved, countless people who had once been there. Just then, she spotted a girl outside who looked strikingly like Andy. Pippa immediately released her dog and ran after her, shouting her name, but the girl never stopped. When she reached the tree covered in black ribbons, she realized she had mistaken the girl. It wasn't Andy, who had been missing for 5 years. From that moment, Pippa became even more obsessed with solving the mystery. Later, she discovered that Kara's sister, Naomi, was not only Andy's close friend but also very close to Sal. While getting some water, Pippa took the chance to start a conversation with Naomi in the kitchen. Soon after, she gently brought up her research and asked if Naomi would agree to an interview. To her surprise, Naomi said yes. It turned out that on that night, the whole group attended Max's party. Sal had said he felt unwell and left around 10:30 p.m., yet he didn't arrive home until 12:50. Strangely, he still had an alibi during that time. Just then, Kara's father, Elliot, came home from work, cutting the interview short. Pippa had no choice but to leave quickly, nearly forgetting her notebook full of interview notes. Clearly, that party hid crucial clues, and she knew she had to act fast. That night, Pippa checked Naomi's social media profile and added Max to her list of suspects. She pinned their photos on her investigation wall, but the biggest question remained: where had Sal gone during those missing 2 hours? Soon after, she texted Max while also agreeing to her mother's suggestion to take a part-time job. The next day, Pippa and Kara worked as servers at a wedding. Since the town was small, it wasn't surprising that she ran into Max there. Later, she followed him into the basement and found Max hiding there. During the interview, Max made things difficult for her, forcing Pippa to drink a full glass of wine for every question she asked. After 3 glasses, she finally got an unexpected answer. Apparently, Sal had begged Max to be his alibi, claiming they were together until 12:15, but Max told the police the truth. He knew faking evidence was a crime. Even so, Max still believed Sal couldn't have been the killer, but the fact remained: Sal had confessed, then gone into the woods and poisoned himself. As the wedding continued, Pippa was already tipsy. At that moment, a strange man approached her and warned, "Stay out of things that don't concern you." After her shift, Pippa went home feeling conflicted, yet somehow, she found herself standing at Ravi's doorstep. Though her visit was unannounced, Ravi's mother kindly welcomed her in. When she finally met Ravi, Pippa opened up about what she truly felt. To her, this wasn't just a research project for a certificate, it was about proving what she deeply believed, that Sal was innocent. Her sincerity earned Ravi's trust, and he took her to see Sal's old room. Ravi handed her a phone. Inside was one final coherent text, the rest looked like gibberish, almost as if written in French. Ravi quickly explained that although his brother was brilliant, he was terrible at texting, almost like he was illiterate. Hearing that, Pippa suddenly realized Sal had never actually confessed. That final message wasn't his, so who sent it? I think this might be the answer we've been looking for. At last, the case had a new lead. Staring at the photo on the phone, Pippa couldn't help but wonder, they were such a perfect couple, so how did it end so tragically? As she gazed at her wall of clues, something clicked in her mind. By this point, everyone in town was a potential suspect, so the investigation started to move fast. Soon, the focus shifted to Andy's two closest friends. The great detective Pippa was back in action. She went to the restaurant where Emma, one of Andy's best friends, worked part-time. Through their talk, Pippa learned that the three had been inseparable since elementary school, sharing every secret, no matter how small. Andy was warm, outgoing, and kind. Her boyfriend, on the other hand, was both romantic and old-fashioned. They never argued, and surprisingly, had never even taken their relationship too far. Hearing this, Pippa was surprised. Sal's phone still had all their chat history, clearly showing that the couple had argued. At the mention of this, Emma grew furious, insisting everything she said was true, not fabricated. The interview ended on a tense note, and Emma warned Pippa never to contact her again. Later, Pippa met Ravi by the lake. Determined to uncover the truth behind his brother's death, Ravi agreed to work with her. From that moment, Pippa gained a partner who was both strong and dependable. When Pippa mentioned investigating Andy's other best friend, Nat, Ravi accidentally blurted out her nickname, Naked Nat. It turned out Nat once had her private photos leaked, though no one knew how. Later, Pippa received a crucial tip. Andy's father had disapproved of her relationship with Sal, refusing to accept that a blonde angel was dating a boy of color. Though such racist views were no longer legally accepted, those outdated beliefs were still deeply ingrained in the minds of many townsfolk. One day, while visiting Kara's house, Pippa finally found a way to reach Nat. Coincidentally, Kara and Nat were both in the same tennis club, and they had an upcoming match against each other. While they were talking about the leaked photos, Kara's father suddenly poked his head in. "What are you girls talking about? Tennis, naked photos." The match day soon arrived, and of course, Pippa came to cheer for her friend. After the game, she followed Nat into the locker room, and what she learned there shocked her. Apparently, Andy had been cheating with someone else, even though she and Sal had never gone that far. Realizing she had said too much, Nat stood up and warned Pippa. "You seem smart, Pippa, but you have no idea what you're digging into. Be careful." With that, Nat grabbed her bag and left. Her curiosity only deepened. What made things even stranger was seeing Nat get into an SUV driven by the same man who had tapped her nose and warned her at the party. What exactly was their relationship? Pippa quickly shared what she saw with Ravi, and together they tried to piece together the mystery behind it. Luckily, Ravi came up with a plan. He used his phone to impersonate Nat and text Emma, unexpectedly uncovering information about a mysterious man. But who was he? Oh no, if Andy had two boyfriends, then this mysterious man was now the prime suspect. The case was getting more complicated, but since Pippa had already agreed to go camping with Kara, she and Ravi had to split up for a while. The group excitedly went to the forest for their camping trip and spent a fun afternoon together. That night, the five of them played the Spirit Pen, a seance game. They tried to summon Andy, the girl who had disappeared 5 years ago. As soon as they spoke, the pen suddenly moved, indicating that Andy wasn't in the forest. But by the second question, the atmosphere shifted. The pen pointed to yes. Then came the third question, "Andy, are you buried here?" And the air grew tense. Around midnight, 3 of the girls got up to use the bathroom. On their way back, they noticed flickering lights deep in the woods. Why was there light out there? Could they really have summoned Andy's spirit? Pippa ran toward the light, chasing through the pitch-black forest. She didn't know how long she had been running until she tripped over a branch. When she looked up, the figure was gone. After returning to the campsite, the group assumed the strange light they'd seen was just someone lost in the woods. Still, to be safe, the boys volunteered to take turns standing guard. As Pippa lay down, she found a mysterious note hidden beneath her pillow. Nervously, she unfolded it. Inside was a warning telling her to stop investigating. Could it be connected to the shadow she saw earlier? Pippa couldn't sleep the entire night. After a terrifying evening, the group quickly packed up the next morning and drove home. While dropping her friends off, Pippa happened to see Max arguing with Emma. At that moment, she realized that Andy and her 2 best friends might be hiding a secret, one no one else could know. Back home, Pippa reread the note and replayed her earlier interview recordings. A bad feeling began to creep in. She looked up at her wall of suspects. The first was Naomi, close to both Andy and Sal. The second was Max, whose interview contradicted Naomi's entirely. The third suspect was Andy's father. He not only disapproved of his daughter's boyfriend for being mixed race but had also been caught by Pippa sneaking around suspiciously at the party, as if hiding an affair. The fourth was the mysterious man who had tapped Pippa's nose in warning, and the fifth was the unknown man Ravi had tricked Emma into mentioning. Then Pippa added another name, Nat. Since Nat's earlier warning matched the note's message word for word, she became another suspect. Just then, Pippa noticed something. In a police photo of the old case, the officer standing at the scene was the very same man who had warned her earlier. She immediately logged onto the local police website, and her suspicion was confirmed. Pippa called Ravi over to her house. Together, they confirmed that the man was indeed the officer who had handled Sal's case years ago. Staring at the wall of clues, Ravi reorganized the photos chronologically, and that's when they noticed something strange. 2 months before Andy disappeared, Nat suddenly vanished from all group photos. Hearing that, Pippa immediately suspected that Andy might have leaked Nat's private photos, giving Nat a strong motive for murder. They decided to use the same trick again, pretending to be Emma to lure Nat out. Surprisingly, Nat took the bait and showed up. This time, they uncovered a major clue. It turned out that the day before she disappeared, Andy had broken down emotionally and started acting recklessly. She went out with the one person everyone despised, Max. He's a scumbag. Could Max be the mysterious man? But just days earlier, he had insisted he didn't even know Andy. After parting with Ravi, Pippa decided to take matters into her own hands. She went straight to Max's house and knocked on the door. "Hello, hi, sir, I'm a friend of Max's." Pretending to be Max's friend, she tricked his parents into letting her upstairs, but once inside his room, she realized he wasn't there. Taking advantage of the moment, Pippa searched the room, hoping to find clues before anyone noticed, but there was nothing helpful. Then a photo on the nightstand caught her eye. It was Andy in a bikini, just as Pippa pulled out her phone. "What the hell are you doing?" Max had just come out of the shower and caught her red-handed. Pippa confronted him directly about his relationship with Andy. Max smirked and said that no matter how bad he was, he'd never touch his best friend's girlfriend. He added that he had just found that photo lying around in class and kept it out of boredom, nothing more. But Pippa didn't buy it. She showed Max the chat logs between Sal and Andy, pressing him for answers. Cornered by hard evidence, Max finally confessed. "Andy was selling drugs." "How do you know that?" "Because I was one of her clients." It turned out Andy was dealing small amounts of drugs for criminal groups, mostly at an underground party called Calamity. Sal absolutely despised her involvement in that world. To uncover the real drug dealer, Pippa had no choice but to attend the Calamity party and try her luck. Calamity is chaotic and dangerous. "You're a good girl, Pippa. Are you really ready for this?" Pippa secretly peeked at a rapper's phone and memorized the secret passcode from a Calamity party invite. With a little help from her teacher, she discovered that only insiders with invitations knew where the party was held. That night, the three girls gathered their courage and entered the pitch-black forest. Following the map on their phones, they came upon a glowing cave, and beside it, a tree covered in black ribbons. They stepped inside, and the deeper they went, the louder the music grew. The place seemed built for people to lose control and unleash their wildest sides. The social game here was just as wild. Spin the bottle, and whoever it lands on goes to a private room together. The girls felt like they had entered a completely different world. A sleazy addict eyed them and made an offer. Pippa and Kara boldly joined the game, and coincidentally, the bottle landed on Pippa, exactly as she had hoped. Pretending to be experienced, she teased that there's no thrill without a little danger. With just a few clever lines, Pippa coaxed out hints about the real dealer. Then she was taken to another tent, one she had to face alone. Inside, she finally came face to face with the dealer. Pretending that the junkie from before was her boyfriend, she sat across from him. Pippa made a deal. If he answered 3 questions, she'd pay off her boyfriend's debt. He agreed immediately, and then, the truth from 5 years ago began to unfold. It turned out Andy had been in charge of selling 3 major types of drugs, hiding them inside stuffed animals, because who would suspect a blonde girl like her? The ring had stayed safe for that reason. But Pippa's final question crossed a line. "Where were you the night Andy disappeared?" "You think I sell drugs and kill teenage girls too?" "No, I don't think that, but what if I did?" The dealer gave her a twisted grin. Terrified, Pippa bolted from the tent. Could Andy really have died by his hands? The suffocating atmosphere of the cave overwhelmed her. Heart pounding, she ran out in panic. After a long night of reflection, Pippa concluded that the main suspect, the mysterious man, was the drug dealer. The next step was to locate the disposable phone Andy had used to contact her clients. With her plan clear, Pippa contacted Ravi. Together, they staked out near Andy's house. Since the drugs were hidden in a stuffed toy and the phone might hold her client list, both were likely still in Andy's room. Pippa planned to sneak in while the family was away. Just as they were planning, Andy's younger sister unexpectedly drove off. Ravi stayed on lookout while Pippa slipped around to the back of the house. Luckily, she found a spare key hidden under a flower pot and quietly entered the house, tiptoeing her way upstairs. Hoping Andy might come back someday, her bedroom had been left untouched since her disappearance. Pippa quickly took photos with her phone but found nothing hidden inside the stuffed toy. Then she looked under the bed, just as Ravi called to warn her that Andy's sister had come home early. Unfortunately, Pippa's phone was on silent, so she missed the call. With no other choice, Ravi, knowing how easily a black man could be mistaken for a criminal, risked sneaking inside to find her. Seeing him there only made Pippa more nervous. They frantically cleaned up any trace of their presence, but footsteps were already approaching from the stairs. With nowhere else to hide, they squeezed into the closet. Unfortunately, Andy's sister noticed something had fallen on the floor. The tension skyrocketed. It was clear she suspected someone was in the room. Just as they were about to be discovered, the doorbell rang, saving them at the last second. When they crept to the stairs, they realized the neighbors had called the police after spotting intruders, and the officer who arrived to check was the same man who had warned Pippa before. Clearly, they couldn't stay. 3, 2, 1, Pippa counted, and they bolted out of the house, not caring about the noise, diving into the car and speeding off. Once they calmed down, they discovered drugs hidden inside the stuffed toy, but still no sign of the burner phone. However, deep inside the toy, they found a coded sheet listing buyers and quantities sold. One of those names could very well be Andy's killer. The case remained unsolved, but the bond between Pippa and Ravi grew stronger. "Would you be my girlfriend? I'd love to, maybe after school." In the days that followed, Pippa obsessed over decoding the mysterious symbols. Then she realized the paper was from a small family-run hotel. She immediately called Ravi, and together they drove to another town to investigate. What they found there shocked them. The hotel clerk knew nothing about the disappearance from 5 years ago but swore the girl in the photo had stayed there just a few weeks earlier. Could Andy still be alive? When Pippa asked to see the guest book, he refused, citing privacy policies. Refusing to give up, Pippa devised a plan. Moments later, the hotel fire alarm suddenly blared, forcing everyone to evacuate. During the chaos, she and Ravi sneaked into the office and found the guest comment book. To avoid being caught, they hid in an unlocked hotel room. Not long after, Pippa made a huge discovery in the bathroom. Comparing the photo of Andy in a bikini to the surroundings, she realized the photo had been taken right there, in this hotel. She was here. Yeah, taking advantage of the confusion, they escaped before anyone noticed. Back home, Pippa examined the guestbook photos and noticed one review written in the exact same handwriting as the coded sheet. She immediately called the phone number listed there, but the line was dead. She saved it in her phone under the name Mysterious Man, her top suspect. Just as things seemed to be going well, the next day everything flipped. The same police officer arrived, escorting Pippa into his car and warning her to stop the investigation immediately. He then showed her footage from Sal's interrogation. It turned out Sal's alibi was hard to believe because his 3 closest friends couldn't all have been lying. A day before the incident, Sal and Andy had an argument, something proven by the text messages on his phone. During questioning, Sal lost control and lashed out at Andy's father. Based on all the evidence and Sal's behavior, the detective concluded that he was guilty. Hearing this, Pippa froze. It hit her. The belief she had stubbornly defended all along might have been wrong. Not long after, she had no choice but to tell Ravi. Though she didn't want to believe his brother was guilty, she couldn't deny the evidence she'd seen. On the day of the murder, she herself had seen Andy and Sal arguing. The case that brought her and Ravi together was now tearing them apart. Afterward, Pippa couldn't shake the guilt. She went to see Kara for comfort, but a passing remark from Naomi gave her a clue that could change everything. On Naomi's laptop, there was a photo of the 3 friends taken that night, timestamped 12:06 a.m. The moment she saw it, Pippa realized the person who took it must have been Sal. Realizing what this meant, Pippa ran straight to the town hall, where a memorial for the 5-year anniversary of Andy's disappearance was being held. Everyone was there, and Andy's sister Becca thanked them for coming. Spotting Naomi in the crowd, Pippa marched up to her. "Why did you lie?" "We had to lie." "Why?" "Because if we didn't, they'd find out what we did." Overcome by guilt, Naomi finally confessed the truth about what had happened 5 years ago. It had been a New Year's Eve party. Naomi and her 2 friends attended, having the time of their lives, until something horrifying happened on the way home. Drunk and careless, they sped and collided head-on with another car. The crash sobered Naomi instantly, but it was too late. The other car had flipped over. The victim was still alive, could have been saved, but Max, the driver, ordered them all to leave the scene. He made a quick phone call to someone, then fled. When the news aired, they learned that the man in the car had been critically injured and taken to the hospital, but the driver was never mentioned and the story soon faded away. A few months later, Andy disappeared. Max threatened them, fake statements to the police, or he'd expose the hit and run. That's why Naomi claimed Sal had left the party early and they deleted every photo that could prove otherwise. Right then, Max himself walked in, but Naomi, unable to bear it any longer, told Pippa everything. She admitted that because of Max's cowardice, they all lied to the police, indirectly condemning their friend to death. Now Pippa had the proof. The photo timestamped 12:06 was Sal's alibi. Furious, Max exploded. Max's outburst terrified Pippa, but Naomi seemed calm, almost relieved, as if confessing had set her free. She was ready to face the consequences. Pippa realized that exposing the truth would send Naomi to prison. Not wanting to destroy her family, she resolved to find another way to clear Sal's name. Back home, Pippa pinned every piece of evidence to her wall. She was certain now, Sal was innocent, but the case was tied to that old car accident, and whoever had been threatening Sal's friends was the real key to solving it all. Unexpectedly, something strange happened at midnight. Pippa's dog kept barking toward the front door. At the same time, she received a text from an unknown number, a warning telling her to stop investigating. Before she could even process it, another message popped up. Good dog. Pippa froze. Someone was outside watching her. She turned on the lights and stepped outside with a flashlight, but the darkness was silent except for her dog's echoing barks. Realizing the enemy had come to her doorstep, Pippa decided to strike first. She recorded a video announcing she was about to expose the entire case and uploaded it to social media that night. Not long after, there was a knock on her door. It was Ravi. After seeing her video, he'd rushed over, afraid something might happen. Understanding her plan, he decided to stay and keep watch all night. The two spent the night talking and playing cards, growing even closer. By morning, afraid their parents might notice, they reluctantly said goodbye. That day was Pippa's little brother's birthday, but she received another threat, this time targeting her family. Thinking it meant her brother, she panicked, only to find that her beloved dog had gone missing instead. The whole family rushed into the woods to search, but on their way back, they found the dog's lifeless body. Amid her grief, something her father said to her brother suddenly sparked a realization. She realized the only person with the power to cover up the old hit and run and threaten others into silence was the town's police officer. She immediately went to the station to confront him, but what she uncovered there sent chills down her spine. It turned out that 2 years before Andy's disappearance, the officer had been having an affair with her, and she'd only been 16. Worse, Max had caught them together. That's why, when Max caused the crash, the officer agreed to cover it up for him. The one blackmailing Andy's friends into lying was Max himself. I think it's time you let this go, Pippa. Pippa told Ravi everything, but this time, he urged her to stop. He'd already lost his brother, he couldn't bear the thought of losing her too. After that, Pippa spiraled into despair. She went through the motions like a ghost, until one day after a college competition, fate intervened. On her way home, she accepted a ride from Elliot, Kara's father and her English teacher. When his phone rang, she glanced at the screen and froze. It was the number saved as the mysterious man, the same one linked to Andy's hotel stay. When Elliot answered, Pippa was even more stunned. The voice on the other end belonged to Naomi, Kara's sister. Naomi explained that Max had smashed her phone, so she'd borrowed her father's old one.
You're tense. Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted you to know I was sad about Barney.
Pippa's mind went blank. What on earth was going on with Kara's family? On the ride home, she kept glancing at Elliot, a plan forming in her mind. When they arrived, she deliberately dropped her phone under the seat to see what he'd do. Elliot hurried off in a panic, and Pippa's heart raced. Could her teacher really be the killer? Sneaking into Elliot's office, Pippa turned on his computer. She discovered that on the same day she went camping, he had printed a document, the exact threat note she'd received. Now it was certain. She tracked her phone's location and saw Elliot's signal coming from his old house, even though Kara had told her it was sold years ago. Without hesitating, Pippa messaged Ravi from the computer, telling him to call the police. Then she hugged Kara and drove straight toward Elliot's old house. As Pippa tried to retrieve her phone from Elliot's car, he caught her. She didn't hesitate. She confronted him directly, saying she believed Andy had been held captive in his house. Elliot feigned innocence and invited her inside to see for herself. When he continued to deny it, Pippa pulled out the threatening note he had written. Realizing the game was up, Elliot finally confessed. It turned out that after Andy's family troubles and declining grades, she had sought Elliot's help. At first, he merely tutored her, but after his wife passed away, their relationship turned romantic. After a few encounters, Andy told him she'd fallen in love with Sal and wanted to end things. Elliot reluctantly agreed. A few days before her disappearance, Elliot was summoned to a hotel, thinking Andy had forgiven him. Instead, she demanded compensation for emotional damages. He refused. Days later, Andy showed up at his home and threatened to expose their affair unless he paid her $5,000. During the confrontation, Andy fell and hit her head on the kitchen counter. Panicking, Elliot called for help, but when he returned, she was gone. "I didn't kill her, I cared about her." Pippa's emotions tangled, part disbelief, part pity, but suddenly, she heard a faint metallic clanging upstairs. Her instincts flared. Elliot tried to escort her out, but Pippa slipped away and followed the sound to the attic. When she opened the hatch, the person inside wasn't Andy. "Andy, I'm not Andy." In the attic, Pippa found a woman who had been imprisoned for years, a homeless stranger Elliot had taken in because she resembled Andy. The woman explained that 5 years ago, she had approached Elliot to thank him, not realizing he would lock her away ever since. "You're a good man, what if I told you I've killed someone?" At that, the woman froze in terror, and Elliot calmly confessed that he had murdered Sal. The homeless woman pretended to stay calm, saying she'd like a drink too. The moment Elliot turned away to fetch another glass, she tried to escape, but he caught her. Since that night, she had been the only living witness, imprisoned for 5 long years, but thanks to Pippa's call to the police, she was finally free. The next morning, Elliot was arrested. Sal's name was cleared at last, but Pippa was heartbroken. Her trusted teacher had turned out to be a killer. Looking at her wall of clues, Pippa felt a bittersweet pride. She had solved the case despite everything she'd endured. The case was closed, but one thing still lingered: her tender, unfinished romance with Ravi. She met him by the lake. After they paid tribute to Sal, Pippa hesitated to speak, only for Ravi to say he was leaving town. He said he'd spent his whole life under his brother's shadow and needed to start over, find work, go to college, and live his own life. Maybe it was fate. The case had brought them together, but now it was also what led them apart. Pippa thought she had uncovered all the truth, but Andy's true killer was still out there. Her eyes lit up as she rummaged through her old photos again, knowing there were still questions left unanswered. Elliot had killed Sal and sent the warning letter to stop her investigation, so were all those threatening messages from him too. Following Ravi's method, Pippa rearranged the photos chronologically and checked Kara's social media. What she discovered left her speechless. It turned out that on her brother's birthday, the same day her dog was killed, Kara's entire family had been out of town. Pippa felt like she'd woken from a dream. If not Elliot, then who did it? She rushed to the police station. While talking with Elliot, she realized his story still had too many inconsistencies. By now, Elliot knew everyone saw him as a monster. Still, he insisted, "I didn't kill Andy." He recalled that night, Andy had said, "If I don't leave tonight, I'm afraid my dad will do something terrible to me." Andy's father was known for being strict, controlling both daughters and forbidding them to date. That's why Andy was so desperate to run away. On the night Andy vanished, her father hadn't been at the dinner party with his friends as he'd claimed. Elliot said that as he searched the woods for Andy, he saw her father driving a blue van, panicked and sweating. That's when a chilling thought flashed through his mind. "If Andy's dead, everyone will think I did it." After reading Naomi's diary and learning about the old hit and run, a seed of evil sprouted inside him. Killing Sal and framing him became the only way to protect his daughter. He thought, "My kids already lost their mother, they can't lose their father too." Pippa was stunned. The teacher once respected by everyone had turned into a monster consumed by his own guilt. Determined to uncover the truth, Pippa snuck into Andy's father's junkyard. While he wasn't watching, she slipped into the damaged vehicle lot and found the blue van the police had been searching for. Opening the van, she froze. Inside were tools, all capable of killing someone. Hearing footsteps, Pippa ducked inside, but someone found her. To her relief, it wasn't Andy's father, it was Jesse, Kara's friend. Jesse explained that he and his father both worked there, and that night they'd been with Andy's father, checking a safety alert he'd texted them about. After confirming everything was fine, they returned to the party. Andy's father even admitted the van was his, but the police kept it quiet since Sal had already been declared the killer. In truth, Andy's father's strictness wasn't baseless. Both daughters had rebellious streaks, especially Becca, even wilder than her sister. 5 years ago, Becca had secretly gone to the calamity party. There, she drank something laced with drugs. Moments later, she blacked out. When she woke, she had no idea where she was, only that she had been assaulted. Does she know who did it? No, she doesn't remember anything. Once again, the trail went cold. Pippa stared at her wall of notes and photos, lost in thought. If TT stood for a sedative, why had Max bought it from Andy? A chilling intuition struck her. She immediately turned on her recorder and called Max. Without hesitation, she confronted him about assaulting Becca. To her disgust, Max admitted it, insisting that Becca hadn't resisted, that it was consensual. Pippa trembled with fury. How could such a sick, twisted man still walk free? Then it hit her, the person seen at the square at 10:38 p.m., could it have been Becca? Pippa rushed to confront Becca. It was as if Becca already knew what was coming, and there, the final truth was revealed. That night, Andy, bleeding from the head, returned home from Elliot's house. Becca opened the door. Traumatized after being assaulted by Max, Becca begged her sister to go to the police with her. But Andy refused. She was the one who'd sold Max the drugs. Reporting him would expose her. Andy said she'd leave for good the next day. She couldn't take their father's control any longer. Becca panicked at the thought of being trapped alone with her father. In desperation, she argued with Andy. In the struggle, Becca accidentally pushed Andy, whose head hit the wardrobe hard. Already injured from her earlier fall at Elliot's, this second blow proved fatal. Becca stood frozen, watching her sister struggle for breath. The killer all along was her own disturbed younger sister.
Do you want to see where she is?
Yeah.
And drink up. Let's go.
Becca had laced the tea with the same sedative Max had used on her, and Pippa, unaware, agreed to go with her. Meanwhile, on a bus out of town, Ravi found the cotton candy Pippa had secretly tucked into his bag. Without hesitation, he turned back. When he reached Becca's house and saw no sign of Pippa, he went to Kara. Using phone tracking, they followed her signal into a nearby forest. By then, Pippa and Becca had entered a cave. Becca lifted the cover off a dry well, saying that's where she'd dumped Andy's body. Ironically, it was the same secret hideout the sisters had shared, and now Becca planned to make it Pippa's grave. Dizzy from the drug, Pippa fought back, shoving Becca away before stumbling toward the exit. Becca caught up, dragging Pippa toward the well, just as Ravi and Kara burst in. Pippa fainted. In her dream, she was back 5 years ago. When Sal asked, "Did you see Andy?" she wished she had answered differently. She's gone, but maybe fate had already decided. No matter what she said, Sal would have found Andy that night. That day, Andy's father had confiscated all the money she'd saved from selling drugs, yet love triumphed. She and Sal had planned to run away together. They planned to meet at the bus station. Sal even brought her a warm cup of coffee, but time washed everything away, memories, love, and pain, as the small town slowly returned to peace. And so, season 1 of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder came to an end. Pippa had solved the 5-year-old mystery. Her research project earned high praise from Cambridge University, and her mother was proud, yet the vile Max still roamed free. I want you to know, you're nothing, and I won't stop until everyone knows the crimes you've committed. The series is based on the novel by Holly Jackson, starring Emma Myers. If you enjoy British crime dramas, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. There are many more thrilling stories on this channel. One of them is bound to steal your heart. See you in the next recap.
You're right, that is weird. You'll see.